The Carolina Panthers are now 1-3 on the season, but their offense is no longer a problem because Andy Dalton is at least decent enough to put up 20 plus points on the board. But their defense, on the other hand, is a problem. Now, we saw what the defense has been like over the last couple of years. They have a very good defensive coordinator, in my opinion, but they don't have the same defensive talent that they have had over the last few years. Xavier Woods had a very good game today against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, he missed a huge tackle that played in part to why Jamar Chase went for 63 yards on a catch and go grab. That was basically a 63-yard touchdown. You had three defenders around him and no one could tackle him. This defense has not been good all season long. We go back to week 1. Yes, Bryce Young threw the interceptions. They were giving up a lot of chunk plays to Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints offense, especially to Rashid Shaheed. We saw what happened in week 2 against Justin Herbert. They gave up some good plays to Quentin Johnson. J.C. Horn did come away with an interception in that game, but in the past, you always had depth pieces that could come in and just play complementary football to help out the stars on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm not talking about just keeping Brian Burns. He is now with the New York Giants. Jadeveon Clowney is a veteran pass rusher. Let's get one thing straight here. Jadeveon Clowney is a system pass rusher. He's overrated, in my opinion. Very good run stopper, but in terms of putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, he's not going to do it. Frankie Louvu is a more complete linebacker than Josie Jewell. Josie Jewell, not a bad player, but Frankie Louvu can put pressure off the edge. You can blitz him from in between the tackles. You can do that between the tackle and the guard. Josie Jewell just doesn't have that skill set. Frankie Louvu is now with the Washington Commanders. When I look at this defense as a whole, they don't have the key pieces. Mike Jackson, fun cornerback to look at. He's not a true number 2 cornerback. So you just have J.C. Horn, Xavier Woods, and Shaq Thompson. That's it. Brian Burns is no longer here, and that's okay. But you look at Derek Brown. He was their best defensive tackle, their best defensive lineman, Mr. Consistent. I look at Derek Brown right now. Derek Brown is going to miss the entire season because he's dealing with a torn meniscus. He only played a couple snaps this season. That was it. They're missing that run stopper. They're missing that guy that could push the pocket. And now the defense doesn't look the same. Look at what Joe Burrow was able to do today. They lost this game 34-24. Joe Burrow did throw an interception that came from Xavier Woods, who also led the team in total tackles. But Joe Burrow had 232 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. We go back to last week when they had their first win of the season against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, the defense went out there. They did their thing in the first half. But in the second half, Coach E went out there prevent defense. We saw Gardner Minshew go out there and pick them apart. And Gardner Minshew isn't one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He's just an average starter at best. When I look at the week before that, when they went against the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert did throw an interception. But before he was dealing with his ankle injury, he was willing and dealing on the day. And they ran the football down their throats with J.K. Dobbins because they're going to struggle to stop the run. And we know what happened in week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. This defense has to play better. But they just don't have the players to go out there and do it. And I said this when they were making all those moves. You basically sacrifice defensive pieces to bring in offensive help at the time to help out Bryce Young. And you're just neglecting your defense. Now, you could say, hey, this is a developmental year for Bryce Young. It's really not. He's not playing anymore. It's Andy Dalton. Last week, he was a star. This week, he wasn't a star, but he played very well. He did throw an interception, but on the day, Andy Dalton did not cost them this football game against the Bengals. They scored 24 points. They couldn't even score over 20 points with Bryce Young. So Andy Dalton was 25 of 40 on the day, 220 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He has put new life in this offense. Chuba Hubbard had 104 rushing yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry and 1 rushing touchdown in today's game. And he was very good last week as well when they went against the Las Vegas Raiders. You have a true number 1 in Deontay Johnson. You also look at another piece, Xavier Legette, who you drafted in the first round. Had some key plays last week against the Raiders. This week, he was a number 2 wide receiver. And he's not ready to be a true number 2 just yet. He has 6 catches for 66 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Adam Thielen was supposed to be in this spot, but he's going to miss time because he hurt his hamstring in the Raiders game. And I really like Adam Thielen a lot. I know a lot of media analysts, they like to joke about his age and say he's slow. That is still a very good wide receiver. Look at what he did last year. And I understand last season he was being force fed. He was the only guy that can get open, but he's a veteran. He knows every coverage. He's a safety blanket for Bryce Young or even Andy Dalton. And he was putting in very good production against the Raiders before he suffered that injury. They're going to miss him, and he's scheduled to miss the next 4 to 5 weeks. One thing with the Carolina Panthers, you can now put up 20 plus points. Can your defense go out there and just hold the opposing team? Because if you can do that, you're going to be golden for the rest of the season. But I wish that they had the defensive talent that they had last season. And they still have some veterans with the Panthers. It's just not the same. The secondary is not the same. The linebackers are not the same. They could not tackle today, and they could not put enough pressure on Joe Burrow. They could not put enough pressure on Gardner Minshew. That was a bad offensive line of the Las Vegas Raiders. And when you look at teams within this division, the Atlanta Falcons, they have a relatively good offensive line. The New Orleans Saints, they're fully healthy. They have a good offensive line, in my opinion. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up and down, but look at the players that they have. They have 2 number 1 wide receivers. They have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So how would the Panthers try to match it with them on the defensive side of things? Some positives here. Dave Canales will be your head coach long term. He's been through hell for the first 3 weeks of the season. Hell. Because when you look at it, you had this quarterback in Bryce Young, who they thought he was going to come in and fix immediately. That was not the case. You slide in Andy Dalton. You see he's able to call plays. He's able to rally the troops. You know how easy it would have been for those players to give up on Dave Canales after the first loss, but they didn't. You know how easy it is for those guys to give up on him? They haven't, and they have played down to the last minute in every single game so far this season. They believe in that man, and they believe in their defensive coordinator as well. Right now, they're lacking talent on the defensive side, so it's hurting them. For us, the offense, we know that Andy Dalton is not going to be the long-term solution. We understand that. But it is fun to see guys like Deontay Johnson and Xavier Legette go out there and just have a chance, and the same with Tommy Tremble as well. I still think that the Carolina Panthers will miss the NFL playoffs, and that's okay. You have to worry about that after this season. If they make the NFL playoffs, that's even better. But right now, as it stands, you're starting to see the pieces that you have. They went into free agency. They fixed this offensive line. This is a very good offensive line from tackle to tackle. I will give Icky his credit. I was down on him. He has played better so far. From tackle to tackle, this offensive line has played very good from week 1 to week 4. Bryce Young was dealing with the lowest pressure rate in the NFL for the first 2 games. He was rushing himself into sacks. He's holding on to the football for too long. Andy Dalton did get sacked twice against the Las Vegas Raiders. One of them was just a coverage sack. The second one, he's just holding on to the football for too long. They have the pieces there, and we're starting to see them open up lanes for Chuba Hubbard and for Miles Sanders as well. And Chuba Hubbard is the leading running back. He is going to be very good. But you also have to realize this as well. They drafted a running back in Jonathan Brooks from Texas, who is expected to be the bell cow either next season or even partially for this season because he's still recovering from that torn ACL. So you bring him in, maybe you could play keep away even more with your offense to help out your defense. But regardless, I think that you're going to see the Carolina Panthers put up more points for the next couple of games, and the defense just has to be better. That's it. I like the coach that they have. We know what Andy Dalton is. You're starting to see the pieces that you went out there and got through the trades, what you got in free agency. They're starting to step up. Today was a tough loss against the Bengals, but at the end of the day, you still put up 20 plus points. You put up 24 points. You aren't going to be able to do that with your last quarterback in Bryce Young. And you hope that he is still developing behind Andy Dalton. The dream situation here, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, is for Andy Dalton to go out there, be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, and for Bryce Young to learn and to develop behind him and possibly come back in. Do I think it's going to work? Not necessarily. The Jets try to do that with Zach Wilson, but it may work out. But I like what I'm seeing from the Carolina Panthers. Their defense just has to be better long term. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Let me know what you think about the Carolina Panthers moving forward with Andy Dalton. Most importantly, when each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.